Good morning, Neil. Sean here in the very heart of London, and as ever, a busy London. You can hear aeroplanes over me, birds crowing in the background. People often say to me, this is a green screen, Neil, it's not real. Trust me, we are always real in our locations wherever we go. That's the reason why you can see leaves falling off the trees behind me, all sorts of stuff, you know. I find it incredible actually, because if it was green screen, would I look this rough? You'd have put a light in, wouldn't you? What's that? I know, bit of thunder. Back as ever though to your breaking entertainment story of the day. A lot of people have been asking me recently about other things and other people that I've met regarding some of their very favourite TV shows. Of course, sadly earlier this week we lost the celebrated actress Angela Lansbury, and as I said, thank you so much for your kind comments about our very small tribute towards a wonderful actress and a lady, you know, truly nice lady. And in one of the comments they said, have you ever met anybody from Are You Being Served? You know, the big hit TV show from the 70s. Well, I have. And so today I thought I'd share something rather special with you, because a lot of the stars I was lucky enough to meet, including Miss Brahms, Wendy Richards, who went on, of course, to become a soap icon, a stalwart. But it's not just her, of course, that made the show so spectacular. Molly Sugden. Oh yes, Mrs. Slocum, do you remember her? Well, I met her. Also one of the creators, Jimmy Croft, and of course the original people, David Perry. All of them I was lucky enough to meet over a period of time. But it was one star that came into the studio that I quickly grabbed for a very informal interview. Mr. Mike Berry. He played Spooner in the latter part of the series, and as he reveals here, he feels that the BBC are now ashamed of that spectacular hit TV series. It's never repeated, by the way, over here on mainstream TV. Apparently it's not woke enough now. It's funny, but it's not woke enough. You get the picture. Interesting, isn't it? Now, of course, he took over from another couple of greats also. My favourite actually was the grumbling Mr. Granger. Do you remember him? And Captain Peacock I was lucky enough to meet at an event out at Pinewood Studios. Very eloquent he was, of course, very well spoken, brilliant actor. Of course, then went on to star in another wonderful sitcom, Last of the Summer Wine. But Are You Being Served remains a stalwart, doesn't it? We all love a good giggle, and of course we all remember all those innuendos, including John Inman's I'm Free, Mrs. Slocum's Pussy, and that catchphrase, of course, Are You Free? I loved it growing up, didn't you? I still watch it now if you want to giggle. So first and exclusively here for you, I've dug it out of the archives. Meet Mike Berry, the former 60s pop star who went on to become a star in an iconic, worldwide and much loved BBC TV series, Are You Being Served? Entertainment news with one of my all-time favourite singers. He is, of course, the legendary Mr. Mike Berry. Remember though, Mike,
if you miss it, you miss out.
Don't miss Mike today on your entertainment news.
Bye-bye.
Ground floor perfumery, stationery and leather goods, wigs and haberdashery, kitchenware and food going up. First floor, telephones, gents' ready-made suits, shirts, socks, ties, hats, underwear and shoes going up.
Mike, lovely to see you, and thanks so much for popping in. Now, of course, to many people, you are Bert Spooner, of course, and because everybody loves Are You Being Served? I mean, you know.
I did.
Yeah, but I was playing it to some of the boys earlier this week, and they, you know, they loved it, and it's one of those shows that hasn't, in a way, aged, because we remember shops. I remember shops like that, don't you, when you were younger?
Yes.
But people said, well, what's that guy? I said, well, he's a floor walker. They don't know what that means.
No.
But when you got that role, I read your version of how you got it and, you know, all that sort of stuff. But what was it like? Because it was so iconic by the time you joined the show, wasn't it?
Well, I used to watch the show before I was ever in it, never dreaming I'd be in it, because I'd done so little acting. And in fact, when I used to watch that, I hadn't even done Wurzel Gummidge, which was the other thing I did. They're the two main things.
Two iconic shows, though.
I know, but they're the two main parts of my acting career. I did plays and stuff like that.
I've seen you in Panto.
There you are. I wouldn't tell too many people about that. But when I got Are You Being Served? Yes, it was terrifying because I was going to be working with all these people that I watched week after week and thought it was great. I enjoyed the show. But when I did it, I just fitted in really easily. And I remember Wendy saying to me, John said, he said, he's got it. So John Inman said to her, he's got it. And so it's whether you can do it or not and fit in.
Yeah.
And so, because you get some actors, I've worked with actors, and I'm not a trained actor. I just got a sort of natural ability for certain parts. And a lot of actors just, they're wooden and they've got no real motor. And I remember the director of Wurzel Gummidge, James Hill, who was a very good director, directed all sorts of good films, Bellstone Fox and so on. And he said to me one day about someone he'd employed on this Wurzel Gummidge, he said, oh, she's got no motor, he said. And I knew exactly what he meant. She said the lines and she walked up, but she had no, you just didn't believe it, basically. So.
It's strange though, isn't it, Mike? Because when we watched that, when you were in it and I watched it a few years ago, did you realise you were part of a cult thing? You know, because you know, like when you ask people afterwards, and you know, it's like when you worked in certain places and they say, did you realise? But you don't, I suppose, at the time.
Well, it was, I didn't realise myself, although I should have done, because having watched it, it was a cult for me to sort of go into. And but I remember David Croft for the first rehearsals I was doing, and he called me out of the window and he said, "Don't talk to the press," and because they want to dish the dirt with everybody, and he said, "Just be careful who you talk to and what you say, because this is like an iconic show."
Was BBC won primetime millions, though? What people would dream about now, isn't it? 16, 17 million people were watching this show.
And yet the funny thing is, it's the one series I think the BBC are a little bit ashamed of. It's that sort of seaside postcard humour, a lot of it, and it's a bit sort of crass, some of it, but it's still fun because of that. I think that's its strength. It's unabashed silliness.
Well, it reminds me of like, is it Donald McGill postcard? It's, you know, when you see the fat lady on the beach. And
Yeah. Where's my Willie?
When they used to do the Mrs. Slocum jokes, did everybody on set used to try and have to hide the, you know, like not to laugh or?
Well, no, because I think they all got used to them. Well, there was one I remember when she said, "Oh, I've had my pussy banging on my cat flap all night." I can't remember the context, and we all sort of went.
But what did Molly think about that? Because I mean,
she said it with great aplomb. No, she didn't bat an eyelid, just delivered it. That was the good thing. That's good comedy. You deliver it straight. You're not looking for laughs. You're just delivering it straight, and it's funny just because of the content and the environment it's in and the context it's in.
Now, there's a piece in the paper today that said, "Are You Being Served?" is coming back, and they're going to reboot it with new people in the cast and all that sort of stuff. Now, they recently did that with Dad's Army. I haven't seen the film yet, so I can't. I'm a huge fan as well of Dad's Army. I haven't seen the film, so I don't personally know. But I can't see how you could recreate, you know, the cast members of Are You Being Served with today's people.
I don't think, frankly. I think because the trouble is they're instantly compared to the original. I went to see Dad's Army, the film, and I wasn't disappointed greatly. I didn't go expecting much, but I must say my favourite was Michael Gambon as
Godfrey.
Godfrey, that's right, yes.
I loved Godfrey.
And I thought Toby Thingamy did Captain Mannering rather well.
But they're impressions, aren't they?
Well,
rather than acting.
No, actually, they didn't. No, they actually played it their own way. In fact, Bill Nye, I thought, wasn't quite posh enough to do the Le Mesurier part, because John Le Mesurier is old school Etonian, whereas Bill Nye isn't. It's obvious he's a bit sort of East End, putting on the accent. And for me, it didn't quite. He played it nicely, and he's a lovely actor, but it didn't quite work for me. But overall, it could have been a lot worse. It really could. But I think Are You Being Served? They're such big characters, and they're so outrageous. When you think of somebody being Molly or John Inman, I mean, I think it's going to be a struggle. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I wish they'd cast me in some old as young Mr. Grace.
Or what about? Do you remember the man Arthur English? It was the cleaner, wasn't he?
Yeah, I could have done that. I could have done the cleaner. Mind you, I'd have had to be demoted, wouldn't I, from from the men's floor to...
Yeah, but you would be, wouldn't you, in this day and age? You know, that's
Possibly,
the
possibly,
thing.
yeah.
If you
and-
still
'cause
had a job.
I was what they call a ne'er-do-well.
Yeah.
And then always up against it. So, yes, actually, I could have become the Arthur English part, but Arthur was good.